there! This week I'm going to be trying out markers for the first time. I bought 3 sets of these Spectrum Noir Illustrator markers, the basic, the sketching, and the figure sets. I'm going to be redrawing an OC that I created earlier in my channel, Rosie. I started with making a sketch on my iPad, and I should have just printed it out onto my marker paper, but I ended up trying to transfer it to my paper using my iPad kind of like a light box. And it ended up being a little bit more trouble than it was worth because my initial lines were not dark enough to show the intricate details through my paper, so I ended up having to go back over them and darken them up. First, of course, I'm going to swatch out all my colors to see what I'm working with. I noticed that a few of the colors were very similar. The honeydew, the pale tan, and the apricot, they did come from different sets. So using my old illustration as a reference for the colors, I started out coloring in her skin. From all I've learned about art, the face is kind of a make or break it when it comes to drawing characters or people. And so I thought I would start out with that just to see how it came out first. But I think it was definitely a mistake, especially since it's my first time using markers. I shouldn't have gone into the most important part of the drawing. I think I ended up overworking it because I was trying to smooth my strokes together. I kind of get the hang of it a little later on in the drawing, but I just kind of wished I hadn't messed up the face as bad as I did. It's not horrible, I guess. Sorry in advance if you see my head popping in and out of corners every now and again. I'm trying up a new camera setup and now I know what not to do. A little bit about the character. I originally painted her in watercolor on a video earlier in my channel, and I named her Rosie because she likes to be out in the garden with her flowers, which of course include roses. And another illustration I did was of a red fox, and he was on some grassy hills, kind of like overlooking this little house in the distance that had some suspiciously familiar gray paneling. I had originally wanted to create a storyline where they met and go on these little fun adventures together, but I hadn't intended on doing any lining until the end, but I was worried I was going to lose the features underneath the color. That happens to me all the time. I will have this sketch that I'm really happy with, and then I end up losing the features under my watercolor and completely forget where my lines were. Marker artists are probably cringing at me coloring in these arms. These strokes are so bad. For her hair, I used this Sharpie brush marker that I got in a set of Sharpies. It was like on a clearance rack. And it's not as dark black as I thought it would have been. It ended up drying a little bit lighter, but it kind of was okay because I liked the way it showed the texture of the strokes in her hair. Strangely enough, none of my Spectrum Noir marker sets came with a black. But I guess that's okay because you kind of get more depth when you mix other colors to make blacks anyway. These big red flowers, I was going for roses, but since I'm not really familiar with flower anatomy, I'm sure I'm off. For the middle rose, I tried to do the opposite color pattern that I did to the outside roses, just to kind of change it up a little bit. And I do like it, but I think the ones on the ends look more like traditional roses. For her name, I just added the text in Procreate onto my sketch and then just transferred it along with the rest of my drawing. Of course, cannot forget the sparkly gel pens. And here's the aftermath of my desk after finishing this illustration. She's so shiny and sparkly and adorable, and I just love her so much. I think I actually might put this up on Redbubble as a print, so link is in the description if you're interested in that. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought, and thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you again next week. Okay, bye guys!